Class tonight. I do hope that you all are doing well. Tonight we're going to be applying our knowledge of integers into real-life applications. In fact, the title of the section is Applications of Integers. We are going to be talking about, most likely, one of your favorite things, money. Let's go ahead and start applying integers to money. So, how does money apply to integers and other way around? Well, in a business, when you guys run businesses, you can gain money or lose money, obviously. Gaining money, also called income, is positive. Okay, those are positive numbers. Losing money, or expenses, as we call expenses, is a negative number. Now you see on the board a chart. Now this is a chart. You can find this on page 523 in your book. It might be very helpful to go ahead and get your book out and open to page 523 so you can see exactly what's going on. So this is the income and expenses chart for a particular flower shop. Now the question says, example 1 says, find Flower Mania's profit or loss for February. So let's go ahead and focus in. This is February. So the income, they gained this amount of money, and they lost that amount of money. So all you have to do is add those two numbers together. So it's going to be 12,739 plus a negative 9,482. Okay? Now, remember, you can think of adding a negative as subtracting. So you would simply just subtract 12,739 minus 9,482. And when you subtract, you're going to get the answer. It's 7. That's going to be 5. That's going to be 2. And that's going to be 3. So your answer is a positive number, fortunately. So for February, this flower shop gained $3,257. Okay, so that was the income. So income over expenses. So you see how this applies here directly. Now let's go do one more. Let's find the profit or loss for, let's say, April. Okay, so let's go and look at April. Okay, and I'll go ahead and erase this because I need some room. Now for April, we see the flower shop gained $13,620, but they lost $15,149. So with this, we're going to be adding a negative number. So you guys should know this by now. You simply go ahead and subtract. And I'm going to actually pull up my calculator because on some of these I am going to have you guys use the calculator. So 13,620. Okay, so the 13,620. Then we're going to do plus a negative 15,149. Oh, no. Try that again. Alright, so 13,620 plus 15,149, and that's going to be a negative number, equals, and there we go. So, in the month of April, they actually lost more money than they made. And so for the month of April, they actually lost, oh, that's my calculator, $1,529. So they actually lost that amount of money. So now you see how we can use integers, positive and negative numbers, in some real-life applications. Now, the book went ahead and there's one more specific application to this problem. Now, we're going to look at another profit and loss chart, only it's going to be look a little different. Now, this is, once again, on page 524. You can find this at the very top of page 524. Now, on page 524, the directions say, draw a line graph of the monthly profits and losses for Hobbytown. In which month did the greatest profit occur? So what we're going to do is we're going to take this graph and we're going to take that chart, we're going to make a graph. You see I've already kind of set everything up. Now with a graph like this, you're going to look at your data first of all. And I see a negative $1,000, I see a negative $600, I see a positive $300, I see a positive $700. So I see big numbers. So it would not be wise to make your graph as kind of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or your graph is going to be all over the place. Let's actually use, and you can see what the book did. The book actually used thousands, okay? So what they did, and I'll go and write this on the board so you guys can see this, they actually, horrible straight line. Let's try this again. That's much better. So I actually drew a line right there, and we're going to call this 0, okay? We're going to call that 0. And what they did is this is going to be a negative 1,000. This is going to be a negative 2,000. This is going to be a 1,000, positive 1,000. This is going to be a positive 2,000. And now we're going to put our graph in there. Now you see, ladies and gentlemen, our graph is going to be far from perfect, okay? But let's go ahead and try it. So first of all, in January, so I'll put a J down here. In January, they lost, it's a negative $1,900. That's almost $2,000. So we're actually going to put a dot right there because that's almost negative $2,000. In February, they lost $600, so it's going to be somewhere, so this is a February. It's going to be somewhere right, I don't know, probably right about there, okay? Now in March, they actually gained $300. So in March, we're actually going to put our mark up here. So March, our mark is going to be, it's probably pretty close to where it should be. And then in April, we see even going up, so $700 this time. So April, we see above that line right there, $700. Now back in May, they actually lost $150, so it's going to be somewhere like right about there. And then June, put a J down there, $250, so it's going to be right about there. July, $900, so another J, $900, so that's going to be actually closer to $1,000, so it's going to be up there. August, I actually broke 1,000, so we're going to put our A, actually broke 1,000, so we'll put it right about there. September, negative 400, so S, so it's going to be pretty close to that. October, negative $820, so back there. November, so that's October, November, and then December. So November was at 1,000, so we're all the way up to here. And then in December, they almost broke the 2,000 to way up there. So now, ladies and gentlemen, that is my graph. And all I'm going to do now is going to connect the dots. I'm actually going to make this very, very small to do my best. There we go. All right. Alright, so there you go. Now I have my chart right there. So that's the first part. I graphed my chart. That's the very first thing. I made a graph of it. Now the second part of the question says, in which month did the greatest profit occur? So you're looking for the greatest uptick. Okay, the greatest uptick. So the answer in this case, excuse me, the greatest jump in income is going to be right here between October and November. From October, they went from a negative, almost a negative $1,000 to a positive $1,500. So November was a huge month for them. That was the greatest jump in price. Okay, you see that because this distance, so this right here to that right there, is the greatest of all other increases. So that's the first one. Now, the second question, this is toward the bottom, and to check understanding. The question says, in which month did the greatest loss occur? So we're looking for the greatest downward movement. Now this right here, so May, that's a downward movement, but that's only a downward movement of about, that's about $500, or no, yeah, about $500. So that's not going to be it. Here we go. There's another big loss, and that's actually going to be the biggest loss. That's the biggest drop, because I have right here, I have a $1,500 drop in prices. So that's going to be the answer for that one. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, that is the lesson. It seems somewhat scattered, okay? It's not really focused on one particular thing. It's just simply applying positive and negative numbers to all different areas of life, and specifically here with money, with income and expenses. Well, that's the lesson. It's really all about knowing the difference between a positive and negative number. It's really the focus you have to know. You have to know the positive and negative numbers. Now, I will say in your homework, you will be making a graph, so it might be wise to have graph paper, to have and hold on to graph paper. That would be a very wise thing to do. All right, your homework tonight is going to be page 524, 1 through 5 all. Once again, page 524, 1 through 5 all. Have a great night, and we'll see you all tomorrow.